So it is my belief, and I've been studying Solomon since I was a new Christian. I believe that he wrote the Song of Songs when he was a young man, newly married, very much in love with his wife. I believe that he collected the book of Proverbs over the course of his life, truisms and learnings and experiences like a journal. And then I believe at the end of his life, he penned the book of Ecclesiastes. And I believe it was him looking back on his life with remorse and regret and remiss at the absence of this lovely woman. And so Ecclesiastes is this tremendous book. It has 12 chapters. It's written by Solomon, and it opens with this word, meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Everything is meaningless. He sounds like a punk rock kid getting a philosophy degree at a junior college with a medical marijuana permit. He sounds like that kid. I just see him in Converse high tops with a bad attitude and highlighted frosted tips. That's just how I see him. And then the question is, what does that mean? Because life doesn't need to be meaningless, but it can be. It can be very meaningful. His theme in the Song of Songs, he talks about life under the sun. What he's talking about is living life without acknowledging God's ruling, reigning sovereignty over all of life. If all of you do is just live your life without considering and inviting God, life is very meaningful. It's only God above it all that gives meaning to it all. Nonetheless, that word in Hebrew, it appears 36, 37 times. Meaningless, it is translated. And depending upon which translation you prefer, sometimes it'll be translated as fleeting or vapor. In the original Hebrew, it's hebel. And the book of Ecclesiastes begins with that word, and that is the theme and thread of the book. So the meaning of that word determines the meaning of life. I don't believe that life is meaningless, though it can be. I believe that what that word means when it's used elsewhere, like in the Psalms, is that life is fleeting, like a vapor. It was a weird week here in Arizona. Grace and I were at a pastors and wives retreat, and thank you. You generously helped pay for 50 couples of churches to come to Arizona and to be invested in their marriages this week. Trinity helped fund that, as well as our friends online at RealFaith. And it was with Pastor Jimmy Evans, one of our pastors, who would come preach for me in March, and I'm excited to have him. But it was really weird because we were up in North Scottsdale one night, and Grace and I walked outside, and there were snow flurries in Scottsdale. Very rarely in Arizona do you see your breath. But it was cold enough this week that you see your breath. And what happens is when you see your breath, how long does it last? It's gone. What he says is life is like that. It's a vapor. I mean, when you're young, you feel like you have so much time. When you're older, you wonder where all the time went. You get so busy working, doing your chores, paying your bills, that you forget to enjoy your life. I believe Ecclesiastes is him as an old man saying, I lost my wife. I ruined my life. I wasted it. It's over now. And I believe he's an older man who is recanting or perhaps even repenting of his behavior. And he's looking back and he's saying, well, some of you think that money is going to satisfy. I had a lot and it didn't. Some of you think that education and pedigree and degree will satisfy, and I was the wisest man on earth, and it didn't. And some of you think that power will satisfy, and I was the king of Israel, and kings visited me from around the nations to get my wisdom and my encouragement and my counsel, and it did not satisfy. And some of you think that eating the best food and drinking the best wine and sleeping with the most beautiful people will make your life worth living, and it's not. It's not. See, everything that everyone is chasing, he chased. My summary of Ecclesiastes is this. He came to the conclusion that apart from God, life is a wild goose chase and there is no goose.